Hey, and welcome to the Meditations and Musings podcast. I'm Elena Lipson. I'm a mama, I'm a wife, and I'm the founder of the Divine Self-Care Circle membership and the Virtual Retreat Academy. I don't believe that you have to sacrifice your body, your health, or your family in order to create true abundance and prosperity. I believe in living based on the divine feminine metrics of success, and these include pleasure, play, ease, grace, and a slower pace. Each week, I'll bring you 1 to 2 new episodes. One of these will be a guided meditation that you don't have to do on the meditation pillow, and the other will be a conversation to help you access your inner wisdom, to ignite abundance, and inspire others to do the same. I invite you to join me on this journey back to the magic of a divinely aligned and well cared for you. And now, join me for today's episode.
Hello, and welcome to today's Divine Self-Care Meditations and Musings episode. I'm so excited to have you back. Thank you so much for being here with me today, for taking this journey with me. I am so excited that I am now recording my 51st episode, and thank you for being with me as long as you have been on this journey, and I'm looking forward to many, many, many more episodes, many more meditations, and lots more connections. So thank you so much for being here. I always love to start with gratitude because gratitude is where it's at. It is the tool of shamans. It is the tool of open-heartedness. It is the tool of connection. It is where I try to go as often as possible in my life when things aren't going as I want them to and when things are going amazingly, because our ego mind will try to take us off course as often as possible in the name of safety. And I want to be open-hearted and expansive and really be someone who can take those risks to follow my heart, to follow my intuition. And I can only do that when I'm living in a mindset of gratitude. So I just wanted to offer that to you today and to remind you that if you are in a situation or a part of your life or a phase of your life or a season of your life, as they all are, and you're feeling like you're not where you want to be, where you need to be, I want to remind you that in the moment, right this very second, there's something to be grateful for, whether it's just that you have the ability to listen to a cool podcast, or you have the ears to listen to a podcast, or you have a heartbeat. You are here, you are now. Things can change today, tomorrow, next week for you, as long as you are feeling grateful for what you already have, and that you can find something, someone, some situation in your life to be grateful for. So that is my PSA for gratitude. I can talk a lot more about the magic and alchemy of gratitude and sometimes how difficult it is to get there, but that there's always, always, always something in your life to be grateful for. And with that gratitude, you can start to see the sun coming out again. You can start to see changes happening again. So no, this is not an episode about gratitude, though we will have future episodes about gratitude because that is such an important element of living the divine self-care path, of honoring your body, your mind, and your spirit, and to live in a way that brings you more of what you want, more opportunities, more joy, more pleasure, more of the feminine metrics that we always talk about. But today we are actually talking about the art of the graceful no and 5 specific ways to say no, because as a coach, I've been working with women for a long time, and we talk about the inability of women to say no, and men for that matter too, but I'm talking to you as a woman today, and I'm a woman, and I coach women. I've been coaching women for almost, 20 years now, and saying no has been one of these, it's kind of like a counterculture choice, right? It's like one of these reasons that we don't do what we want to do in our own lives because we're too busy saying yes to other people. And I want to explore with you today a few reasons why saying no might be hard for you. And then I want to give you 5 specific ways to say no that are actually practical. Because what I have found is that we all want to help each other. And this is one of the reasons why it's hard to say no. And I'll share a little bit more about that. But just the reason behind it, that saying no to someone else is not just saying no to what they want, but it's also saying yes to what you want. And to me, that feels like the bigger problem, like the bigger challenge, the bigger realization to have. Because when you're busy saying yes to someone else, you're automatically taking time away from that which you want to do, right? And there's a couple of ways we're going to explore this. So first of all, when you're saying yes to yourself, you're saying yes to the things that you want to do. It means that you're taking up more time, energy, and money in your own life. It means that you're valuing yourself. It means that you are feeling worthy of your desires and the things that you want to create, which is an incredible place to be. And sometimes with those desires, with those big things that you want to create, with that investment of time, energy, and money, comes some insecurity and comes some self-doubt and comes some fear. And so sometimes when you have an opportunity to say yes to something else, to somebody else, it's easier to do that because it takes you away from being challenged, from growing into your own discomfort. So one of the things that we're not going to really dive into as much today, but I want you to just be aware of, it's more about a self-worth issue. Giving yourself permission to take up that time on your calendar is a choice, and it is a claiming that you might not know how you're going to get to where you want to go, but you know that you do have a dream, and that dream requires time, energy, and money on your part. So saying yes to a project or starting a business or even a creative endeavor or even just time to do nothing, time for self-care, means that you are worthy in your own mind and heart of that time. So when somebody asks you to do something or to go somewhere or to give that time, energy, or money to them, you have a choice, right? You have a choice to say no. So here's where we're going to break it down a little bit. Now, the other element of saying no is I want to be a friend who says no when I really mean it, and yes when I really mean it. And that's what I expect from my friends. I don't want my friend to say yes to me when I'm asking them for something because they're obligated or they're feeling guilty, right? Like we eat obligation with a side of mom guilt for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if we're allowed to. Like we feel so obligated to other people sometimes that we are basically, creating a detriment in our own momentum in our own projects. We are saying yes to other people, but then we're also building up this little bank account of resentment, and not even towards them, but maybe towards ourselves and maybe even towards them as well. So when my friend asks me to do something and I really can't do it doesn't work for me, and I say yes, then I'm doing it out of resentment. It's not a place that I want to be, and vice versa. If you are my friend and I'm asking you for a favor or your time or some support in a way that takes up your time and it just doesn't work for you, or you just aren't feeling up to doing it and you say yes, I don't want you to feel like you're resenting me either. I want it to come from a place of genuine desire, right? Now, of course, there's times we help people where it's inconvenient for us. That's not what I'm talking about. When someone's in a place of real need, dire need, or they're having an emergency, there's no question. Priorities are very clear. When someone is in need and they really need some support in the moment, of course I will drop what I'm doing and help my friend. That is not even a question. But what I'm talking about is more of the day-to-day, of the calendar choices that we make, of the friend asking us to help them with their whatever, or to go with them somewhere because they need some support, not an emergency, but you already have some project on the calendar, or you have some self-care time on the calendar. Now, of course, listen, you're gonna go situation by situation. What I want to clarify here more is just to give you the tool of saying no. Now, those situations are more like if you're being asked to volunteer so many times. If you're the kind of person that has traditionally and historically said yes to everything because you're so generous and giving, which is great, you're probably also the person that people come to. Now, whether it's at your child's school to volunteer for things, whether it's to volunteer in your community, whatever. I'm not saying volunteering is bad, but I'm saying we all need the time to ourselves to do things also. So if you are the kind of person who gets things done, and if you are the kind of person who is really good at what you do, and you're the kind of person that says yes, then I guarantee you that you're probably also someone who says yes sometimes when you really, really want to say no. And so I want to give you permission to do that, because you're also going to be someone who then says yes when they mean it. And that is a much more powerful yes. Now, one of the things that when I ask my ladies in my circle, like, what's the deal? Why can't you say no? One of the reasons is like they literally don't even know how to say no in the moment. Like you don't have the actual language to say it in a way that is graceful, to say it in a way that doesn't put you in a situation where you feel like you're a mean person, which is one of the reasons why a lot of women don't say no, is they don't want to feel mean. So let's look at some of the reasons. We're diving into it now, but why is no so hard to say? One of them we just talked about. It's hard to feel mean. Like you don't want to feel mean. Right? You don't want to be that person that says no. And then it's like, it's unfortunate because truly the only person who thinks you're being mean in that situation is you. The other person has their own ideas, their own filters, and probably is already thinking of the next person who they're going to ask. So the perception that you're the only one who can do it is only yours. And that if you're mean, if you say no, that's something, well, you just need to let go of, because honestly, you're a grown woman and I'm a grown woman, and it's about time, it's probably way past time that you stop thinking about what people are going to think of you, right? This is a really big element of women's lives that we need to drop as soon as possible. We need to stop worrying about what the other person is going to think of you and just claim that you have a voice and you're confident to speak that. Okay, so let's let go of that. The second reason why it's so hard to say no is because you really want to help. You're a nice person, you're a kind person, and you want to help. And that's great. But if you're helping out of fear that you're not going to be liked, or you're helping out of obligation, then you might also be helping with resentment. And honestly, nobody wants that around. And it's not good for your health. It's not good for your wellness. It's not good to do it. And believe me, there are many other people that can help out of a giving heart in the moment. If it doesn't work for you to help in this particular situation, then saying no is the right thing to do. It's the honorable thing to do. The other reason why it's really hard to say no is because, well, truly, you are also, like, this is what I talked about in the beginning. So I'm going to go back to the beginning in just a little bit. So bear with me. So saying no is really hard because it's almost like you are getting away from what's hard in your life sometimes. And this is what I mentioned in the beginning. If you have like projects you're working on or things that are feeling hard, say for example, I'm writing a book and I blocked out 10 to 12 in the morning on Thursday morning to write, right? That's all I'm going to do is I'm going to write. And then a friend asks me if I want to go for a walk, or a friend asks me if I want to go help them with some marketing they're doing or whatever, or a friend asks me to just, go have breakfast. And for me, I might think about my writing session and say, no, that is definitely my time. I'm sorry, I can't do that. And really claim that time and say no to my friend's request, even though it's a great request, even though I might want to go have breakfast with my friend. But if I'm feeling like nervous about my writing, or I'm feeling like I'm procrastinating on my writing, or it feels scary to write, saying yes to my friend might be a way of procrastinating on my own desires. Can you see that? So I want you to keep an eye out for that. If you're starting to say yes to other people and to push aside your own work, then there might be a case of procrastination by fear. So I want you to be mindful of those kind of yeses and nos as well. And then the final thing is that you just don't know how to say no. Like you actually don't know how to say it gracefully. And we touched on this earlier as well. So what I want to do for the remainder of this podcast is to give you 5 ways to say no, how to say no. So the first way, and this is something that I did in my own life, is I decided that I would not say yes to anything in the moment. And this is like what I was thinking about was really because I was being asked to volunteer quite a bit at my son's school. And I had been like the queen volunteer for years and years at his school. And I was getting to a point where I really wanted to focus more of my attention on growing my business and speaking and traveling and things like that. So I knew I was going to have to start saying no more often. And also just kind of those day-to-day requests where you're walking around your child's school or your work or your community or whatever, and someone just kind of taps you on the shoulder and asks you for, hey, by the way, do you want to come help with whatever that request is? And in the moment, it's really, some women I have found have a very hard time like having the actual words to say no. So we're going to talk about that too. But what I did was, the first step is to centralize your calendar. If you centralize your calendar, because what I was also double booking myself sometimes because I said yes to things, which you might find as well, is I will never say yes to something unless I've had a chance to review my calendar. So I centralized everything to my digital calendar, and if I didn't have it in my hand, I couldn't even look at it. And then I would take it to a second level. I would say, I really need to look at my calendar, and then I'll get back to you. So my calendar became kind of like my little excuse, my blocker to say, I can't say yes to this until I look at my calendar. And that became the first number one of how I would say no. Is it wasn't like a no in the moment, because maybe I wanted a chance to think about it. Maybe I wasn't clear on what my other obligations were for that particular request. So saying I need to check my calendar and I'll get back to you is a very, very easy way to say, to put off saying yes or no until you have more clarity. Now, if you know it's a hell no in the moment, then let's be honest and just say that. But most women, I find, are just not clear on the full scope of the picture in that very moment, because they're asking you for something that they've been thinking about, but you maybe haven't had a chance to process it yet. So that's the first and most powerful way, is to say, let me check my calendar and I'll get back to you, and then do it, within whatever amount of time you commit to. The second thing is I find that for some women, they say yes in the moment because they really want to say yes in the moment, but then they have regret. It's like saying yes hangover because maybe you really didn't want to do it, or you wanted to do it, really you did, but you also forgot that you meant to spend that time doing something different, or you already have another obligation. So another blocker of the yes in that moment is to create a pause and just say, you know what, let me think about that and I'll get back to you. And even that might be difficult for you if you're someone who's so used to saying yes, but just try this one next time. Just say, yeah, you know what, let me think about that and I'll get back to you. Because then you're giving yourself a chance to not just reply and say yes out of obligation, but you're actually saying yes because you want to. You've had a chance to think about it and consider all of the elements that go with saying yes. That's a really powerful one as well. And I've heard women just change their whole entire relationship with obligation and saying yes in the moment by just giving themselves a pause and saying, let me think about that. Okay, number 3 is, you know what? This is the graceful way of saying no. So let's learn the art of the graceful no. Is, thank you for asking, but that won't work for me at this time. And then you just stop and stop explaining yourself. You don't have to tell them the whole family reason, your whole inner dialogue of why this is not going to work for you. Now, this could come right away, right as the request is coming in the email or the phone call or the in-person request. You can say, thank you so much for asking, but that won't work for me at this time. And that's it. Again, you have to stop there. It's a complete sentence. So again, that can come in combination with having you take a pause and think about it, or check your calendar and think about it. But then you reply. The how of saying no is, thank you for asking, but that won't work for me at this time. And that is super powerful. Number 4 is, you might want to say yes, but it just doesn't work in the way that the person is asking you. So an alternative reply would be, yes, but my way. So yes, I'd be happy to do that for you, but Monday morning doesn't work. How about Tuesday afternoon? Or yes, it will work in this location. It won't work at your house, but how about you come to my house, right? You can see how that can be very powerful, where you want to help that person, but the way that they're asking you, the particular logistic, doesn't work for you. So you have to be powerful in your voice and say, I really want to help you. Yes, I'd like to do that, but it doesn't work for me the way you asked for me. Or how about we do it this way? So it's on you to put the alternative suggestion on the table, and then it's up to them to say yes or no, right? So that could work for you. And the final way is just to say no. Oh, doesn't that one feel scary? Like someone asks you to do something and you're like, nope, no, thank you. You could add on a thank you if you want to really feel nice, but you can really just say no. Just no, thank you, no. That one's a little more edgy. I totally get it. But I want you to play with the other ones, right? Let me review them for you. So how do you say no gracefully? First is centralize your calendar so that you don't make any decisions without looking at your calendar, so you don't double book yourself. Number 2 is create a pause. You just say, you know what, let me think about it. I'll get back to you. Number 3 is, thank you for asking, but that won't work for me this time. And that's it. You just leave it at that without giving them the whole biography of your life. Okay. Number 4 is, yes, but my way. And then you suggest the alternative. And number 5 is, nope. That one just makes me laugh because I know that that's the hardest one to do, but it's also one that, you're totally fine. Like imagine a 5-year-old kid, right? And you ask them to do something like, no. So channel your inner child when it's time to do so and just say, nope. You could do it with a sense of humor. You can do it with grace and say, no, thank you. Or you could just say no. That's a good thing for women to practice anyway, right? All right, that's the episode for today. It's called The Art of the Graceful No, and just exploring why it's so hard for you and me and women around the world to say no. But the more we practice doing it the graceful way, the more we practice saying no and saying yes to ourselves while saying no to something that we don't want to do, the more we're going to start claiming the art of the feminine way, the way that claims your desires and your needs and really puts them before others so that you can actually give from a place of overflowing, give from a place of nourishing yourself first, so that when you do say yes, it comes from a fully open heart and a real honest yes. So you go take care of yourself. I'd love to hear how this goes for you. Leave me a comment on Instagram, leave a review. I'd love to hear how it goes the next time you say no gracefully. Can't wait to see what it opens up for you. I know for me, it's opened up an incredible honesty in relationships and a real confidence in my own voice, knowing that no means no. And when I say yes, it's because I really, really want to. All right, I'll talk to you next time on the next episode of the Divine Self-Care Meditations and Musings. This is Elena Lipson, and thanks so much for being with me today. You go take care of yourself.
Thank you so much for listening and learning about the new Divine Self-Care way of being in your life, business, and the bedroom based on the divine feminine metrics of success: pleasure, play, ease, grace, and a slower pace. If you're ready to bust the myth of overwhelm and tap into an inspired start to each day, I've put together a free video series for you to help you start each day with energy, inspiration, and ignite that inner pilot light which attracts joy, magic, and synchronicity. You can access my 3-step magic morning practice to help you ignite your inner light and attract the abundance that you're craving. Head on over to elenalipson.com/gift. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would so love if you share it with a friend, a sister, a mother, a daughter, and please leave a review. That is how the magic starts to ripple out. Here's wishing you a day full of beauty, magic, and divine self-care. I'll see you next time at the Meditations and Musings podcast.